Trouble?
Oh, it's nothing serious.
All the same, maybe you'd better cancel this trip next week.
Oh, Jonathan, don't start again. I'm looking forward to it. I'm giving a lecture.
In Australia?
Well, that's where they're holding the conference. If I give it here, I'll have to shout. Anyway, I haven't got throat trouble. It's just a slight tickle. It'll clear up by Monday.
Are you comfortable?
It's hard to say, dear. They've given me something to make me drowsy, and it's had the effect of drying my mouth up. So, if I'm not comfortable, I can't feel it. And even if I could, well, I haven't got the spit to complain. Oh, it's so undignified having an operation at my age. All the nurses keep saying how wonderful I look for 74. And then they remove all my makeup and plonk me on a trolley with a J-cloth on my head.
How's that?
Oh, you are sweet.
74.
Oh, yes, dear. This isn't latex, it's life. Mind you, Lenin looked wonderful at 74. But then he died when he was 53. So that must have been latex.
Oh, Michael, I'm doing a thoracotomy on this lady, so I'll want that little, pole thing.
It's in there now.
Good. What?
Sheila, quite often a tickle in the throat can turn out to be something much more serious.
Yes, and quite often it can turn out to be a flake of muesli.
George, what would you say to someone who had a really bad throat irritation?
Ah, well, of course,
Yes, might one ask whom we're talking about?
Sheila.
Ah. I would prescribe complete rest of the vocal cords for at least 20 years.
Oh, absolutely. It's rather a pity one can't take them out and have them mailed off to a convalescent home. The idea they might get lost in the post somehow fills one with a warm glow.
Right. Look, a flake of breakfast cereal has a very distinctive tickle.
Oh, for heaven's sake! Jonathan, let's get this straight once and for all. Would this by any chance have anything to do with Mickey Prothero?
Who's that?
You know very well that Mickey invited me to this conference. You also know that before he moved to Australia, he worked here in gastro. You also know...
What?
That Mickey had the hots for me like a chili in a pressure cooker.
I don't remember any Mickey Prothero. I remember some ugly dingbat who spent most of his working life staring at your legs.
I'd hardly call him ugly.
Yes, well, I suppose some people go for the flabby, crinkled type.
So the fact that you don't want me to go on this trip has nothing to do with Mickey Prothero.
Look, I'm all for this trip. I think it's a wonderful opportunity.
Not to be missed.
That's right.
Good. Now, as you know, this lady is suffering from an esophageal tumour. So we've mobilised the stomach through the abdominal incision. And in the second part of this two-stage procedure, we're going to perform a thoracotomy to resect the tumour and join the remaining esophagus to the jejunum. Any questions?
Sheila?
Yes.
Do you know how many mosquitoes there are in Australia?
Thank you. Michael, are you ready?
Not quite.
I'm not joking. The place is swarming with them. Half the car accidents in Sydney are caused by traffic cops trying to bat them away.
Jonathan, have you ever been to Australia? Thank you. Incidentally, Mrs. Vaughan here is a very interesting lady. She was Moscow correspondent for the Times newspaper, which will come as a surprise to those of you who think that a woman can't get past the Watford Gap without a man walking in front waving a red flag.
She wasn't just in Moscow, she's been everywhere. Tokyo, Washington, Kinshasa.
Wonderful. The perfect example of someone who has grasped every opportunity that life has to offer. Just imagine all the marvellous experiences that this woman has had.
That's right. She's had tapeworm, malaria,
Thank you, sister.
dysentery.
Sure, it's Mickey Prothero. And Jonathan wouldn't be jealous just because I'm going on an all-expenses-paid trip to Sydney. No one would. It has to be Mickey. He just hasn't got the guts to admit it. Joyce, if you're going to move on to your armpits, I'm leaving this room now.
Well,
Oh, for heaven's sake, it's only a gastroenterology conference.
Explain to me why a gastroenterology conference has to be held in a hotel slap bang opposite Bondi Beach.
It's nowhere near Bondi Beach.
Well, it's 12,000 miles nearer to it than this dump. Sheila, there are lifeguards swanning around that place that make Sean Connery look like Bart Simpson. Women turn up from all four corners of the globe and start shouting, "Help me, I'm drowning," before they've got off the plane.
If you'd only admit it's Mickey Prothero, I might know where I stand.
I just think it's so unfair. Why is it I never get invited to conferences?
Well, it's rather difficult to imagine what 2,000 deputy unit managers would talk about.
Are you kidding? I've got enough dirt stored up to keep us going for a month.
Joyce, believe it or not, I am going out there to work.
Don't give me that. We all know what goes on.
Nothing goes on. We swap ideas, exchange experiences. Anyway, it's not always in exotic locations. Last year it was Birmingham.
And how many delegates turned up?
That's not the point.
Yes, it is. How many?
6.
6?
Well, it may have been 7, only it's difficult to count when they're dotted round a hall that seats 1,500. It was the time of the Gulf crisis. All the Americans were reluctant to fly.
And what about the British?
Well, someone let slip that the hotel swimming pool wasn't heated, so they weren't too keen.
Exactly. So don't give me all that work rubbish. And anyway, what's wrong with my armpits?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, that's it. I'm off. Good night.
I don't think I ever met what I would call a true communist.
never.
Well, there were those who worked for the party, but they did that for the perks. A nicer flat, maybe a car, a Rolex watch. You could always tell a really enthusiastic communist by how much better off he looked than everyone else. I mean, no one in the Kremlin would ever dream of wearing Russian clothes, except possibly when they were painting the ceiling.
Someone said they used to get everything from Marks and Spencer's.
Oh, that's quite true, dear. MI5 never bothered about Soviet diplomatic bags because they knew they were bulging at the seams with St. Michael knickers. Of course, it's all changing now. One hopes for the better.
Where else have you been?
I spent some time in Trinidad.
That's where my dad comes from.
Excuse me?
Well, that's all right, dear. Do I need a jab or something?
No, I just wanted to ask you,
What?
on your travels, have you ever been to Australia?
Oh, yes. It's glorious.
Oh,
Why?
nothing. I'm just kind of hoping it might have been rubbish.
He's a strange man, isn't he?
I know. Anyway, you're tired.
Yes.
Yes, I spoke to you some time ago about an airline ticket to Australia. And you somewhat rashly predicted that it would land on my doormat this morning. Well, since it hasn't arrived, I'm just wondering if it's been diverted to someone else's doormat due to bad weather. Sabatini! S for sugar. Jonathan! Oh, yes. No, I can't come and pick it up. You're 15 miles away. Oh, I see. On departure at the airport. Yes, of course. Well, thank you so much. You've been grossly unhelpful, and I look forward to getting stuck in Wagga Wagga when you go bust. Joyce, I can't believe this. What's the matter with everyone?
Jonathan, you don't seem to understand the importance of this. We'll be able to practice our putting.
Bring in my TV for the cricket.
We could laugh occasionally.
Without that wretched woman hovering around like the ghost of Christmas cancelled.
Everyone in this department is willing to carry her physically to Heathrow and dump her on the first jumbo on the tarmac.
I just don't think you should go, that's all.
Oh, sorry.
Well, every time one of you lot shoots off on a junket, I have to rearrange everything.
Oh, for heaven's
sake, Joyce. Jimmy and Boto's covering for me.
Well, Jimmy doesn't like working with Cheryl Patching, so they'll both be ratty with everyone. All the students will go off sick.
Excuse me.
And I'll have to redo all the rosters.
Joyce, it is your mission in life to redo rosters. No one redoes rosters like you do.
Sorry,
you
can I
do
just-
the best redone rosters in the entire National Health Service.
Well, it's still piles of work.
Oh, come on.
I've decided. I'm going to hand in my notice.
What?
I'm sorry.
Oh, my God. Cheryl!
You did that.
Me?
Yes, all this jabber about faraway places. She's got the bug.
She won't go.
What a mess.
So, off on Monday then.
Could I speak to Jonathan privately?
Yes, if you should decide to visit the opera house...
I would like you two to leave.
Incidentally, I have relatives in Australia.
Yes, I know. I've seen David Attenborough standing over a hole waiting for you to come. Now, would you mind?
That man knows nothing. He's never been there.
I could bring in the most stunning photograph.
Now, Jonathan. I think it's time to get this straight once and for all. And you can be quite frank with me. Because there's only you and is there anything in the rule book that says I can't go off and do exactly as I please?
No.
I'm a free person with no ties of any kind.
You say so?
I'm not saying that's what I say. I am asking you if that's what you say.
Okay.
And if Mickey Prothero tries to jump on me, that is all right by everybody.
I don't care who jumps on you.
So I can just jet off to Sydney. Happy, relaxed, carefree.
Yes.
Good.
Cheryl, I wanted to have this chat with you because, well, you've had enough time to think it over. Now, look, if you leave, a lot of people are really going to miss you. All the stuff...
Excuse me, Sheila Sabatini is back this morning, is she?
Yes.
Ah. No delays or anything?
No, I don't think so. I was just telling Cheryl how badly we'll all miss her.
What? Yes.
Everyone here thinks the world of you.
I've noticed.
I was talking to Dr. Field this morning, and he said if you leave, this whole place is going to fall apart.
Dr. Field said that.
He was very concerned.
Oh.
I was just telling Cheryl what you said this morning.
What?
How upset you were about her leaving.
Oh, that, yes. So Sheila is definitely coming back this morning, then?
Yes! Change your mind.
I can't.
Why?
Because I don't want to be here still working when I'm old and grey. I don't mean like you.
Hardly old.
You've got a husband, kids.
Little bits of grey
What
here
have I
and there.
got?
Some people go grey in their early 20s. It's
If
not a
there's
sign
nothing
of
to
age.
keep me here, I may as well leave while I'm still young. There's a whole world out there.
I read in a magazine that patches of
I
grey...
beg your pardon.
Yes, she is coming back this morning.
Hi.
Jonathan, give me a hand with this lot.
Sure. Oh, haven't you been home?
Home? No. Fires of hell? Yes. After a highly delightful 9-hour flight to Hong Kong, I was summarily downgraded, not, as you may think, to allow some pop star space for his ego, but because the Hong Kong seven-a-side rugby team prefers to vomit in business class. Do you know what it's like in the cheap seats? I have just spent 13 hours having my knees sawn in half by a fold-away table, eating meals that Dan Archer would chuck on his turnip field.
For someone who's packing it all in to go off around the world, you don't look very happy.
Can I let you into a small secret? I've only got £7.50 in the bank. I worked it out last night. I'll have to start selling my body in Basingstoke.
So don't go.
And do what? Waste my best years in this place? I'm a young, vibrant woman, thank you. I need to be out there, shark fishing and making little beach huts out of palm fronds.
I'm going to Kenya in August. Just for 2 weeks.
Sheila, before I leave this room, I have to know everything. I've got people waiting.
I see, so I tell you and then you tell them.
Of course not. I have to know so that I can smile enigmatically and say, mind your own business. So, what happened? Sheila?
Nothing happened. Oh, it went very nicely. My lecture was warmly received. Oh! Should we get your tweezers down there?
I only look after the bits I can reach.
Oh, by the way, did you have that chat with Cheryl Patrick?
Yeah, no luck, I'm afraid. She keeps saying there's nothing to keep her here, so she might as well go off and have some fun. Which you didn't have, then?
Fun.
Well, Jonathan mentioned something about Mickey Prothero.
Oh. Joyce, you ever seen a map of Australia?
Yeah.
Stick legs on it, that's Mickey Prothero. Mind you, his brother's gorgeous.
Oh my God, Sheila!
Well, to avoid any arguments later, I think you'll find I'm right in saying that the Scrabble, the poker dice, and the Ludo are mine, while the treacle toffees and the 1958 copy of Wisdom are yours, George.
I fail to see why we have to clear everything out just because that woman has returned from the Antipodes. Surely we should make a stand.
Yes.
This is a communal area. It's not her personal domain. We should say quite bluntly we intend using it for any recreation that takes our fancy. She can like it or lump it.
Yes, well, you go and do that, and Jonathan and I will come along afterwards with a large bucket and scoop up any bits of you that your wife might like to keep for sentimental reasons.
Well, surely you're not going to be intimidated by Sheila Sabatini.
Certainly not. Which is why I shall be in a cupboard up the corridor, hiding under a pile of trolley blankets.
Oh, well, perhaps it might be a good idea to remove the TV.
No, George, make us stand.
Yeah, go on, George.
I'd rather not.
Need a hand?
No thanks.
Welcome home.
Thank you.
Yes, well, I think that's about everything.
God, they missed you last week.
Jonathan, go and have a word with Cheryl Patrick.
Will you stop whipping my paper? Every time you do that, my eyes spin round like a fruit machine.
Just go and tell her that if she goes, we'll all miss her terribly.
I've said that.
Tell her we can't manage without her.
Sheila, I've said that. She wants to go because she's got no reason to stay. And if you ask me, she's got the right idea.
Meaning?
Meaning I might do the same.
Jonathan, I had a lousy time in Sydney.
Oh?
Yes, it's all just like they say. Stunning scenery, hot, bright blue sky, sailing boats bobbing about in the harbour.
Sounds like a right dump.
Yes. I just missed... Well, I missed...
Sheila! You had it off with his brother.
What's he like, this young man?
He might be all right to go on holiday with.
You mean you think you can trust him to behave like a gentleman?
Oh, no.
Oh, good.
Hello, Mrs. Vaughan.
Ah, Dr. Field. How are you?
Oh, not so bad, thanks. Listen, I just wanted to ask, did you ever dance with any of the really big names?
Big names? I once met Nijinsky. Of course, he was nearly 60 by then and died shortly after. But I did rehearse with Nureyev. Oh, he was a nice boy. but very naughty. By the way, I must show you the shoes Ninette de Valois gave me. I was the toast of Sadler's Wells in those shoes.
Oh, marvellous.
I'm an old lady in very poor health, dear. It's hardly surprising my mind wanders.
Have you ever been anywhere?
Oh, yes. Everywhere. I know it's late. I just thought,
Well, I forgot to give you your present. Don't unwrap it till later, it's a surprise.
Thank you. Oh, sit down.
No, I can only stay a minute. Incidentally, do you remember Mrs. Vaughan, the Moscow correspondent for the Times newspaper?
What?
Well, I went up to see her this afternoon. She's much better. Sitting up, telling my registrar how she used to be a test pilot in the US Air Force.
I wish she'd make up her mind. She told me she was Esther Williams' coach.
By the way, Sister's not going to leave anymore. She's fallen in love with Michael.
When?
This morning, just before the pyloroplasty.
Stone me.
Well, you've got that, so I'd best be going.
Right.
No, Jonathan. Well, I think it's about time we laid our cards on the table.
OK. I'll start. Mickey Prothero hasn't got a brother.
How do you know?
Because I have it on good authority that after him, Mr. and Mrs. Prothero slept in separate counties. Plus, if he did have a brother, he would not be gorgeous. He'd look like a savaged old beanbag. Plus, I rang Mickey and asked him.
You phoned Australia?
After 6, it's cheaper. And there is definitely no brother.
Oh, don't tell Joyce, will you? She'll be dreadfully disappointed.
Joyce?
You were jealous.
So?
So that is exactly what I was trying to find out before I went to Sydney. Oh, Jonathan, I never know where I stand with you. All you ever do is say, I don't mind. You do what you want to do. It's your business. Why can't you ever say what you feel?
Well, you've got a tongue. Why don't you ever say anything?
About what?
There you are. That's why I never know where I stand with you. Sheila, you are no ordinary woman. But that's all right, because I don't like ordinary women. But that doesn't mean I'll take anything. I don't like women who mess me about. I don't like women who try to make me jealous, but I especially don't like women who tell me lies.
What do you like, then?
What? Honestly, no beating about the bush?
Yes, I'd like to know.
Well, I've always fancied the idea of sinking my teeth into that bun on the back of your head.
I could go for that. Oh, what's the matter now?
I've just sat on that plastic.
Jonathan, you do realise we'll have to tell everybody now. I regard biting my bun as a very serious commitment.
I could go for that.